Coming up next on Making Moves, the new city council president wants to extend the gas tax for 20 years. What that could mean for the Mayport Ferry. The JTA wants to hear from you about your transportation needs. We'll talk with Alice Cannon to find out why your voice counts. And Terry Casey sits down with CEO Nat Ford to talk about his first year at the helm of JTA and what he has planned for an encore. I'm Joyce Morgan Danford. Making Moves starts right now. Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Making Moves. I'm Joyce Morgan Danford. Our top story, the Jacksonville Transportation Authority could soon be running the Mayport Ferry if Jacksonville City Council President Bill Gulliford gets his way. That plan was unveiled when Gulliford introduced legislation that would extend the 6 cents local option gas tax through 2036. Now, that local option tax goes to the JTA to help pay for transportation services, including new roads for Duval County. The current tax expires in 2016. Gulliford told the Jacksonville Daily Record that under the agreement, the JTA would take over the ferry service. He said the link between Mayport and Heckscher Drive is transportation and part of the highway system, and under the authority would be, quote, where it should have been all along. Every county in Florida has a similar tax fund used for transportation, some as high as 12 cents per gallon. Gulliford also wants to change the disbursement of the gas tax funding, with the city of Jacksonville taking 1 cent of the tax money to use for street maintenance and as a dedicated funding source for bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure improvements. That would give the city about $5 million annually. Now, the JTA would use the remaining funds for the ability to bond out road projects and improvements. Gulliford said he absolutely wants it approved as soon as possible. That gas tax bill is expected to be heard at the committee level starting in mid-January. Well, President Gulliford has some support at the JaxUSA Partnership. CEO Jerry Malott says the group will support extending the city's gas tax. Malott told the City Consolidation Task Force that the funding is an economic development issue because investing in infrastructure is key to the city's future, and that his organization would support extending the gas tax. Malott went on to say that the city's budget for capital improvements is very, very small, and we have to take every advantage we can to put money into our infrastructure, end quote. But not everyone is on board with extending the gas tax. Jacksonville Mayor Alvin Brown maintains his opposition to the extension. Through his spokesman, David DeCamp, the mayor called the gas tax, quote, inefficient in an era of increasing fuel efficiency, and the best return on taxpayers' investment is finding innovative ways to support the transportation network. The mayor didn't offer any suggestions, though, on what might be a more suitable replacement to fund future transportation projects and services. Well, it was a historic day for the Skyway recently as JTA celebrated its 1 millionth ride on the monorail system in 2013. Passengers were treated to some thank you gifts for being 1 in a million. The Skyway averages about 5,000 trips per day.
We've really promoted the Skyway for a lot of special events. I think people that normally wouldn't have taken the Skyway are probably using it more today than they did before. I mean, we broke records with events like One Spark and the Florida-Georgia game and some of the other special events in downtown.
During the 2013 One Spark Festival, more than 44,000 trips were taken on the trains. The Skyway operates at 8 stations through downtown and the South Bay. JTA is currently offering complimentary trips on the Skyway through next September. Well, the JTA Board of Directors has a new leader and a new face. Donna Harper, the Chief Executive Officer of Systems Logics Company, was elected as the new board chair, replacing Ed Burr. Harper, a Mandarin resident, was appointed back in December of 2010 by then Governor Charlie Crist and reappointed by Governor Rick Scott in June of 2011. She previously served on the board from 1999 to 2007, including 2 years as its chair. Other officers elected were Scott McCaleb as vice chair, Isaiah Rumlin as secretary, and Greg Evans as board treasurer. Meanwhile, the board also has a new member. Mayor Alvin Brown appointed Kevin Holzendorf to replace Steve Diebenow. Holzendorf, a lifelong Jacksonville resident, is currently a partner at Southern Strategy Group's Jacksonville office.
It was clear that we needed to focus on our day-to-day service delivery, making sure that our buses, the Skyway, our infrastructure and our operations was running on time.
Well, up next, what it's like to be the CEO of Jacksonville's Transportation Authority. Terry Casey actually sits down with Nat Ford to talk about his first year on the job and what he has planned for the future. All that when we come back.
I know they say you can't go home again. I just had to come back one last time. You leave home, you move on, and you do the best you can. I got lost in this old world and forgot who I am.
1 year ago, Nat Ford took over as the new Chief Executive Officer at the JTA. Since then, life at the authority has been a whirlwind of change. Making Moves' Terry Casey sat down with Ford to talk about his first year on the job and find out what he has planned for the future of the agency.
Mr. Ford, thanks for taking the time to join us on Making Moves. Timing couldn't be better. It's wonderful because you have just entered your second year as CEO of the JTA. I want to take a few minutes to look back, though, to try and get a foundation. When you first got here, what was on your mind? What were your thoughts? And what did you do to begin laying out a plan of action?
Well, first, I was excited about the opportunity, an opportunity to serve this community, and it was truly an honor. So I was excited about that. And I spent a lot of time listening to our customers, listening to our employees, elected officials, stakeholders in the community, to really get a good sense of what the JTA was doing very well, what the JTA need to work on improving, and then what was their vision, or what did they expect the JTA to be prepared for in the future. And with that, I think I embarked on a strategy to, and clearly make sure that I had the right team of leaders here in the organization, setting the right culture, having the right organizational structure, and then identifying, a handful of, I would say, guiding principles as we moved forward. It's starting off that first year. Focus on our day-to-day service delivery, making sure that people could count on our bus service in terms of being reliable, to be clean, to have a courteous bus operator, and for the vehicle to be reliable in terms of not breaking down and things of that nature. So initially, item one, focus on our service delivery. Item two, internal and external communications. For the JTA to be successful, making sure that our riders and our stakeholders understand the JTA's inner workings and being transparent as it relates to our financial situation, transparent in terms of our goals and objectives, and how are we performing, so we are held accountable. And accountability was item number 3 as it relates to internal accountability. Are we making sure that our promises and commitments to each other as employees, as well as to our riders and our stakeholders, that we deliver on our promises? And then finally, fiscal management, making sure that every penny that we receive from our supporters is being managed in a proper fashion, that we look at opportunities to reduce our costs and at the same time provide more service at the same time. So that was the goal, the 4 guiding principles walking in the door.
So, as a result of those guiding principles and the focus that gave them birth, okay, what have you seen change or improve at the JTA?
Well, a host of things. As it relates to service delivery, we launched the auto program on-time transit operations initiative that provided a laser-like focus on 12 of our routes, and we looked at everything from the on-time performance of those routes, customer complaints or concerns related to those routes, and looked at where we needed to make adjustments and improve the customer experience. That focused identified that we were not performing very well in terms of on-time performance, and more recently we've been able to improve our on-time performance on those 12 routes by about 5 to 6%. In terms of internal and external communications, I believe our relationships with the mayor's office, Mayor Alvin Brown, and with City Council have vastly improved. Also in terms of external involvement in communications and relationships, our executive team, including myself, are sitting on a number of community boards and nonprofit boards, so we are out there telling our story.
Well, from the focus that you've had and the guiding principles, you have now come up with a Blueprint for Transportation Excellence initiative. Tell us about that.
Well, we clearly need to prepare for the transportation needs of the future. And as we worked our way through this past year, we identified that one of the areas, our route structure for the JTA bus service, was designed nearly 30 years ago. And since that time, people have changed their work locations, where they live, they've changed where they go to the doctor, where they go to school. And with that, we need to catch up and, in fact, take a proactive approach towards it and redesign our route system and our route structure. Our plan is to have that implemented by the fall of 2014. It's going to involve a great deal of public involvement in terms of really identifying these nodes and these areas of activity, and then designing a system that is quicker, that is more direct, so there's less transfers for our customers, and that's more efficient for them, so that we could hold the fares down as low as possible and reduce our costs in terms of delivering this service. That's one element of it. There's another element of it that looks at technology. We think we have an opportunity to make our system easier to use. This past week, we announced that we have a NextBus system that we're implementing. This system will provide real-time passenger information to our customers, so they'll know when buses are arriving and departing, and as well looking at even our buses, looking at technology going into the future and identifying what is an alternative fuel for our buses. We've made that decision. We will be converting our bus fleet to compressed natural gas, moving away from diesel fuel, which is much more volatile in terms of cost and price, so that we have savings in terms of actual cost of fuel for the JTA and new technology buses.
For the last few years, we've heard an awful lot about regional transportation. Where does the JTA fit into that now?
As we develop the JTA as the core system, and commuter rail is developed, as well as express bus operations are developed, we'll be right in the center of things. I'm very proud that this month we were able to start up some robust service for Clay County. We've extended the X4, and this is truly a regional service that we're providing now. So that's the first step, and we will continue discussions with other counties and to see if there's solutions that we can help them provide in terms of public transportation.
So what's new when it comes to a regional transportation center?
We've made some significant strides this past year. We signed a lease agreement with Greyhound, so we will be building the Greyhound facility in the Skyway Convention Center area, relocating them from their current location to the new facility, and at the same time it dovetails with our bus rapid transit expansion plans. So bus rapid transit will be connecting to that facility, and then downstream we are looking at developing a regional transportation center that may include a new administration building for the JTA. So the plans are evolving as we speak. Depending on funding, will determine how far we go, but we have made the initial steps and things are moving in the right direction.
What's on the agenda next for the JTA?
Well, we have a long list of goals and objectives and activities over this year. And to start with, technology. Technology is going to play a large role in a lot of our work in the next year. We have a project called One Call, One Click It's to provide veterans information in terms of jobs and how to get to hospitals, and making transportation a seamless effort for them, a very simple effort for them. We've named that project Transportal, and we hope to launch that this year. We also have Firefly, which is an internal project to upgrade all of our business management systems, our human resources system, our materials and maintenance systems, our financial systems. All of those technologies need to be upgraded, and we're underway. I mentioned earlier about compressed natural gas. We have to convert our fleet to compressed natural gas, and that'll be also a challenge over the next year. So as you can see, there's a host of programs and projects we need to focus on.
Your mission for the JTA, how would you characterize it?
In terms of our mission, I've spent a great deal of time talking about the transit operation at this point, and so I think it was appropriate that we had a laser-like focus on that this year, as well as, looking at some of our internal operations and focus on how we can deliver better in those areas. Going forward, we really have to focus on a balanced approach as it relates to our road and bridge building responsibilities, as well as public transit. So that over the next year, we will be looking at balancing out those activities and looking for opportunities to improve the experience for automobile users here in the community.
And what are your goals when it comes to finding a positioning the JTA in the community and in its role as a provider of service?
I would like for the JTA to be seen as best in class in terms of being a governmental independent authority that is seen as being well run, focused on its constituents and its customers, that operates with a great deal of transparency and integrity, and makes the right decisions to help drive economic vitality in terms of Jacksonville and Duval County. And so we're well on that journey, and we'll see you next year.
Well, it's good to have you here, and we look forward to all the excitement that you've been talking about. Good things are on the horizon.
Oh, thank you.
Still to come on Making Moves, Alice Cannon will join us to discuss the JTA's massive community outreach effort that's now underway and how you can get involved. Then a little later, we'll meet a veteran of the War on Terror who also likes to put buses back together.
Imagine taking a gondola ride through the canals in Venice, experiencing the breathtaking magnificence of the Eiffel Tower, or riding a legendary double-decker bus through the streets of London. For most of us, these are just dreams that will never come true, but they could. Think about saving hundreds, even thousands of dollars a year by doing one simple thing: parking your car and taking JTA instead. Save money, ride JTA, and make your dreams a reality.
The JTA is on a mission to reach as many people in the local area as possible and find out what the transportation needs are in their neighborhoods. Alice Cannon is the authority's Director of Community Engagement and is leading that initiative. Welcome to Making Moves.
Well, thank you, Joyce. It's great to be here.
We are so proud to have you here, and I tell you, JTA has always been out there in the community. We know that, but your initiative is a lot deeper and more detailed.
Well, yes, we knew we needed to have a stronger voice in the community, and we needed to listen more to the community. So you can kind of consider these listening sessions and open conversations between the community and JTA.
Now, you've already had some preliminary meetings, so what's been the response out there?
Yes, in November we had 6 community advisory group meetings. We had a great response, a lot of comments, a lot of great ideas, and these meetings are not going to stop. These community groups are going to be meeting every quarter from now until forever, I hope.
So what is the objective then?
The objective is to know our audience, understand their needs, and to be able to provide a greater level of service based upon their needs and maybe not all of our technical necessities. And for them to understand what we have to do and what our federal funding issues are and all the complicated issues that we have in transportation so that we can really speak on level terms and be able to help each other.
And so it really is all about listening. And Mr. Ford was talking about his vision. He wants Jacksonville to be the model system that everyone else wants to emulate. So how does the community fit into that?
The Community is everything. I always tell people public transportation is made for the public, and so they're the owners. And that's what this process is going to do. It's going to create owners instead of just community members. They're going to be actively involved in seeing every project we're working on. They're going to have active involvement in saying whether it works or it doesn't work. They're going to be approving design. So they will actually be able to see themselves at the point where a project is finished or a service is changed, and they can take ownership and say they were responsible for that.
That means a lot of different things have to happen with JTA to make that happen in the community. How do you do that, Alice?
Well, I think you first start off with a great CEO who sees the benefit of this and has been through this process with me before. So he's seen that this really works. Once you bring people in as owners and not just community members listening to public transportation officials, it suddenly becomes a better project, becomes a richer experience, and we have partners. The next time we want to go to Washington or the next time we want to expand service, we have partners who know just as much as we know about this service and are prepared to work with us in getting new enhancements and new opportunities for the city of Jacksonville and their transportation systems.
Okay, so how do we get involved in this?
Well, it's very easy. It's open to the public. We advertise it in the newspaper. We talk to people, call people personally. We have thousands of people on our database. It's broken up into 6 geographical areas. We're including a 7th, Clay County, because we'll start service there in January. So we call everyone personally and invite them to become part of this. We make sure it's very diverse, that we have all types of representatives, but we also publish it publicly because we want the public to come whether we have their information or not. We also want our community advisory group members to invite their neighbors and their friends and their family members into the discussion. I have no limits on the number of people for each of those CAGs. If we have 200 to 1,000, we'll still invite them. Not everybody can make every meeting, but to have enough people there to keep the discussion going, the momentum going, keep the work going, that's what's going to be an advantage to not just Duval County and Clay County, but also to JTA's current customers and our future customers.
And one last question, do you already know what's on the horizon that you have them you'll have them looking at, or?
Well, we have some critical projects, but the key is those projects have to be vetted with the public. So we have a general idea of what we need to do. We have funding, for example, for commuter rail, but we're not totally involved in every detail that the public might want to be involved in. We know we have a study for commuter rail, but it's a study. That means we go out and we ask people how this will affect them, what they want, what they feel will work best for them, and what they feel is the best product for their community. That makes it a much better project because it's not a JTA project, it's a community project.
And that's going to make a big difference. It sounds so exciting, and we're so glad to have you here to lead this charge.
Well, it's great to be here. I want you to tell all of your listeners that it's very important to go to the JTA website, look up CAG, C-A-G, for Community Advisory Group. You'll see all of our meeting minutes of all of our meetings. You'll find out what we discussed. You'll even see the comments and concerns and some complaints that we've received in those meetings. And we take it all seriously and we put it out there in the public for everyone to see, and we invite you to join us.
Oh, well said. Thank you so much. You did my work. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
The JTA has a long history of supporting military veterans and reservists. In fact, more than 50 current employees are former members of the armed forces. And when an employee gets called into service, the JTA's Share the Care program lets them know that they are not forgotten by sending them care packages overseas. Well, one JTA employee, Ryan Elder, serves as a member of the U.S. Naval Reserves and was deployed to Afghanistan last year. Well, Elder not only got a lot of encouragement from his co-workers back home, but as Making Moves Eugene Lindsay shows us, he also got a special surprise from a very familiar face.
Ryan Elder spends his time here at JTA helping to maintain and repair damage to the fleet of buses. He recently was promoted to journeyman, which allows him to do a wide range of work.
It's always something different, and I've been fortunate to be able to work in a couple different shops here. There's always different opportunities to learn something different. There's always a lot of training that could be had. So that's always exciting to me.
Ryan says his work at JTA is rewarding, but he always wanted to be in the military, so enlisting didn't take much convincing from his stepsister. That led to him becoming a U.S. Navy construction mechanic assigned to handling cargo at Blunt Island.
My stepsister had actually joined the reserves about 6 months prior to me working at JTA, and she definitely convinced me to do it. And I had been wanting to serve for some time, but I enjoyed my employment at JTA, so I thought the reserves was the best fit for me.
5 years ago, Ryan moved to Jacksonville from Tampa to work for JTA. Just a year later, he was using his skills to serve our country.
Being a construction mechanic and being part of the CBs, which is an acronym for Construction Battalion, you know, they have a long and storied history, and it's always serving in the front lines from World War II, Vietnam, the Gulf War, and the Iraq War and the War of Afghanistan. So, yeah, I knew it was coming. It was only a matter of time.
So off to boot camp, construction mechanic school, and then in September of last year, Bagram Airfield, Afghanistan. That's where he got an unexpected knock on his door from his stepsister, Katie. Imagine the surprise. She was stationed there too.
I had gotten into country about 2 weeks before her, and she came and knocked on my door and woke me up. So, and said hi, I'm here. It was cool. I mean, you know, we got to Skype our parents, together. So that was neat. They got to see both of us, and we got to kind of keep an eye on each other, you know. And, you know, you get to go to lunch with your sister, and, you know, you're 10,000 miles away. So.
Now, as it turns out, being united with his sister in an unlikely place was just one of his highlights. He was also treated to 21 care packages, compliments of his co-workers, right here at JTA.
They've been great. I have so many people in and around the shop, and a lot of my supervisors prior service. So whenever I do get orders, I mean, there's never an issue there, and you know, a lot of emails while I was gone, a lot of messages on Facebook, a ton of care packages that were collected through JTA. I think I had 21 flat rate boxes sent to me at one time, so made a lot of friends.
Ryan believes he has the best of both worlds.
Very eye-opening. I mean, it's really makes you appreciate everything we have here in America, that's for sure.
In Jacksonville, Eugene Lindsay, JTA, making moves.
His stepsister, Katie, is out of the reserves after serving 6 years. She lives in South Florida and is a nurse. As you saw, Ryan still works for JTA and is still in the reserves. Ryan tells Making Moves he expects to be called up for another tour in Afghanistan in the near future. And of course, you can be sure that JTA will let him know that he is missed. And that wraps up this edition of Making Moves. We're so grateful you took time to join us. Remember, if you missed any part of the show or just want to watch it again, complete episodes of Making Moves are always available online at jtafla.com and on our YouTube channel, JTA 904. You can also find exclusive web-only content on our Facebook page, so be sure to check that out. Facebook.com/JTA Making Moves. For the entire Making Moves team, I'm Joyce Morgan Danford. We'll see you the next time we're making moves.